Hello, Facebook Live. We're live. It's Tuesday evening, 7 o'clock. I am going to be honest, I'm a little bit, I think distraught would be a reasonable term to use to discover that Antiques Road Trip is on at 7 o'clock on BBC Two on a Tuesday night. I don't know why no one's ever told me this before. I've been doing this Facebook Live every Tuesday night. And I have just this evening discovered that Antiques, I don't know if it's a new scheduling or if it's always been there, but I don't know what to do now because I'm missing Antiques Road Trip, which is a programme that I think you'll agree is up there with the greats. I do love a bit of Antiques Road Trip. I could have it on the TV actually in the background, couldn't I? Which is, that'd be rude. So I haven't done that. And we've got someone at the door. Hello, Freddie. No. So we've got some questions tonight about. We've got some questions about placement of implants, and also we've got 3 questions about implants. Yeah, all right, Freddie. All right, thank you. 3 questions: placement of implants and about a binder, and another one which I'll remember in a minute. Oh yeah, shave a mole. So the implant question is about subfascial implants, subglandular implants. Difference between subfascial and subglandular. It is not a great difference, certainly from a patient's point of view. They're both on top of the muscle. The big difference between where you place the implant is whether you place it on top of the muscle or underneath the muscle. Both subglandular and subfascial are both on top of the muscle. I tend to favour a subfascial plane, and the fascia is the white layer on top of the muscle. I don't know if you've seen it on a bit of beef. There's a sort of a white layer on top of the muscle. It's called the fascia, and you lift up that layer, and it gives a bit of extra layer of cover over the implant. And it also means that the glandular tissue is sort of held together a bit more because the fascia is left intact. So I feel it gives a little bit more cover than a straightforward subglandular placement, but I wouldn't worry too much about it. Certainly you can't tell by looking whether someone's got subfascial or subglandular implants. You might not be able to tell whether they've got submuscular, to be honest. But I use a subfascial plane, and that's what it is. It's just a little bit better than a subglandular in my view, but it's still on top of the muscle, and that's the main thing, whether it's on top of the muscle or not. Question 1. Also, next question. I've got to check. I'm checking. Moles, shaving and excising. First thing is, I've got the dog in now. The first thing is whether the mole is raised or not. If the mole is not raised, then you can't perform a shave excision. You have to excise it. Second thing is whether we are worried about the mole or not. If we're worried that it's might be cancerous or it might be anything to worry about, you're better off excising it, because excising it removes the whole of the mole. Shaving it just removes the bit above. Shaving just basically means taking it off at the level of the level of the skin, and so the raised bit is removed. So if you're worried that it's cancerous, you would excise it, because that'll get rid of it all, and then you'd have a look at it properly under a microscope for histology to see whether it was anything to worry about, and to see whether it's completely excised. So if it is raised, and if we're not worried about it, then shave excision is an option. If it is not raised, and if we are worried about it, then shave excision is not even an option. So that's exhibit A. If it is an option, then the difference is the pattern is scarring. A shave excision leaves a size the base of the lesion, whereas a formal excision leaves a straight line, which is slightly longer than the lesion, because you have to make it into an ellipse. Most moles are round, you have to make it into an ellipse when you cut it out. So the scar is longer than the base, but it's but it's a hairline scar as opposed to the shave, which leaves a patch. The other things to think about is if it's pigmented. If it's brown, then sometimes the pigment remains, so you end up, the pigment goes deeper than the level of the shave, so sometimes you're left with a flat scar but brown. And also if it's got hairs growing in it, sometimes the hairs are still there if you do a shave, so that the hairs can go deeper than the level of the shave, and that is so you might have a flat scar with hairs in it. So if you're worried about hair growth and if you're worried about the colour, then an excision would be the thing to do. But if you're not worried about those things, then the volume of scarring is sometimes less with a shave, because it's just a sort of patch the size of the base as opposed to the line. So pros and cons, as with many things, no right or wrong. And I've just had an inquiry from a patient about wearing the binder. How much post-op is she? I think I saw her last week, so it must be a couple of weeks post-op. Wondering whether, because the binder is uncomfortable, it's often uncomfortable. The garment after a tummy tuck is often uncomfortable. So she's asking if you wear the compression pants, the seamless shapewear, and I think this is a really good idea. And I like the seamless shapewear, and certainly if it's more comfortable than the garment, I think that's definitely a good thing to do. Similarly with the gynecomastia patients with the male breast reduction, sometimes they wear the tight tops like the rugby players wear. I think just using something that helps with the swelling, something supportive. If it digs in, if it's uncomfortable, if you take it off and you think, oh god, that feels so much better, then that's wrong. It shouldn't be like compression, it shouldn't be like really compressing, it should be comfortable. So if the garment's not comfortable, then I think the shapewear is a good idea. But if it starts to swell, because the shapewear is probably not as compressive as the garment, or I'll just use the word compressive there, but if it's not as supportive as the garment, then it might swell more. So it's always a balance, so you might have to go back to the garment if things start to swell. So yeah, so you might have to mix and match and see how it goes. God, that was it. I don't know. I hope I didn't feel like I'm not trying to rush things. I mean, I know that actually it's not Celebrity Antiques Road Trip, it's just Standard Antiques Road Trip, but still can't complain. I'm still going to get a bit of Antiques Road Trip, so I'm very much looking forward to that. Unless anyone's got any live questions, live it up, live it up, live it up. I have missed these historically, so I think I'm looking at the right page, although I cannot be certain about that. So if there is any livey questions that I'm missing, I will answer them on my looking at the feed, or if there's any questions from the replay, I will definitely answer them on the feed and answer them next week if you want me to. And as ever, please ask your questions through the usual channels. Email Laura, post them here or on Twitter or whatever, and that'd be great. And if you are watching this live, what are you doing? Why aren't you watching Antiques Road Trip? It's on BBC Two. And if you're watching on the replay, I hope you watch Antiques Road Trip as I'm about to do. So I'm going to check myself out of here, and I will see you next time. I'm at the BARPS meeting tomorrow afternoon, going to the BARPS meeting in London, which is the plastic surgery conference in London. I'm talking at the conference on Friday, which is very exciting, and talking about my clinic and how to run a clinic basically. So that's going to be good. So I might have something to say about that on next week, but also I'll be happy to answer any questions. And don't know why I'm rambling on so much. I'm going to check myself out. Speak to you soon. See you next week. Bye.